Hi friends, good evening. Let me tell you that this outset that today I bifurcated the two channels, one Instagram legal seminary that is wholly earmarked for English medium students and friends and those who are eager to know something about law or constitution. And there is another channel which I've created that is named Legal Saga in Hindi. So that is earmarked for only Hindi medium students and those people who are interested in knowing something about the law. That includes the criminal law, civil procedural law, constitutional law, and also those judgments emanating from the Supreme Court, which set the precedents for the lower courts. Today, in that series of lectures we have been going through, the chapter which we are going to discuss today is the functions of parliament. Now, friends, the major function of the parliament, we know the legislation to promulgate law. But apart from that, the parliament has also the role to control the expenditure. It has also the role to remove and appoint certain dignitaries. It has also a very important role to play in not only appointing and removal, but also very important role for the discussion and debates and deliberations inside the house, outside the house by the parliamentarians about national and international issues. Now, let us discuss how the law is promulgated in parliament. As a common citizen, it is our duty to understand that how a law is made. Now, there are three ways by which the laws are made. First, a bill, ordinary bill, can be introduced in either house of the parliament and it passes through three stages. First is that the minister introduces a bill and then it is either given to the select committee of that house or the joint committee of the both houses. And once the select committee decides everything and goes into the detail, sometimes also, you know, the public opinion is also elicited. Once the select committee or the joint committee, submits its report, then there is second stage, and that is called general discussion debate. That is consideration stage. At that stage, the general discussion happens, and the bill is discussed point by point, clause by clause, and at that time, if the certain amendments have to be introduced, that will be taken. And after the second stage means the consideration stage, if everything is fine, then the bill is bill goes to third stage, reading stage. At that stage, the bill gets the final approval, and the same time, it will be transmitted to the another house, and the bill will go through the same, structure: the first reading, second reading, and third. That is the introduction, and then consideration, and the final stage of the resolution of the bill pass. After the bill has been passed by both houses of the parliament, it will be sent to the parliament, president. And the president has the power either to give its assent to the bill and then it becomes law, or he can withhold his assent to give. That is called suspensive veto. It means that if he doesn't do anything at all, just kept it at the table and doesn't do anything regarding the bill, then the bill is dead. But suppose if the certain issues of the national importance invites its attention and he thinks that in the hurry and haste, if we let it pass, then certain things will not fall into the line, and therefore he just sent it back to the house for the reconsideration of the bill. But once he sent it back to the house and the house has reconsidered with the amendment or without the amendment and once again sent back to the president, he doesn't have any discretion but to sign the bill, means assent to the bill. So this is the ordinary. Now there are money bill. Money bill is always introduced with the prior permission of the president. So there is no question of withholding the bill in that regard. And you know it very well that in the parliament, the Lok Sabha has definitely an age in with regard to the money bill, because the money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha can merely discuss and deliberate upon that. Even if they are suggesting certain amendments, the parliament can consider the amendments or cannot consider the amendment, but the Rajya Sabha can only take it for 14 days. After the 14 days, the bill is deemed to have been passed either with the amendment or without the amendment. And there are certain constitutional amendments. So there is a major difference between the ordinary bill and constitutional bill, that for the constitutional bill you cannot have the joint session, whereas in the ordinary bill, suppose there is a deadlock, the one house sent back to the other house that these are certain amendments which has to be made before the bill is passed. So if the another house does not accept that, there is a deadlock, and that deadlock has to be resolved, and that can be resolved only when the president take a call on that effect and invites the joint session of the house, and the speaker presides over this meeting, and in that joint sitting, if the bill is passed, then it has to be assented. But there is a special case also, the constitutional amendment bill. We have to understand that the constitutional amendment bill, that can also be introduced similarly by the minister in the parliament, either house of the parliament, and that is also going to pass through the same procedure. But see, here there is a take that the president, after it has been passed by the special majority in the both houses of the parliament, it will be sent to the president. The president has no option but to assent the bill. It does not have the case where unlike the ordinary bill, where it can withhold the bill and let it be dead. But here in the constitutional law, it has to assent the bill. But see, there are certain amendments. If these amendments has something to do with the federal structure, as we know that in Keshwanand Bharti case, the Supreme Court has categorically stated that the basic structure cannot be amended. The constitution can be amended except the basic structure. So suppose the constitution has to be amended by the parliament, and if there is some federal structure which is coming into the picture, then it has to be ratified by half of the state legislatures as well. So these are the procedures of the bill by which suppose there is another thing we have to understand, that there is a private member bill. What happens in the private member bill? There is a Friday is reserved in Rajya Sabha, or otherwise, if the chairman decides otherwise, that is different case. But the Friday is completely earmarked for the private members bill, and the Lok Sabha, at least Friday 2.5 hours is earmarked for that. The private members bill are that those who are not introduced by the minister. We know it very well that those political party which has the majority in the case, they are council of the minister is just occupying the entire space of the parliamentary proceedings, and very little time is left for the private meeting members bill. And suppose that it is supported by the members and this minister, then it can be also passed, but it requires the support of the government because they are in the majority. So the private members bill committee is also there in the parliament, in which there are 15 members elected and nominated by the speaker in this so that they would go through into the private members bill. So today just we have to study this much, that see, this is how once the minister introduces a bill in either house of the parliament, it goes through three reading. The first is the introduction, and then suppose that the bill requires the common unanimous understanding, then it is sent to the select committee of that house, or suppose there is a joint committee of the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then that is going to be happen. And once the committee report submits its report, then second it will be taken for the general discussion, clause by clause, etc. And then the final reading, that it is going to be passed, and then it will be sent under Article 111, that President will be assented, withhold the bill, there is very important point which we have to consider at this stage, that the first time, suppose the reconsideration happened by president, that in the office of the post office bill, in which what happens, that the bill was introduced in order to take some privacy of the people, that the we can get any information through the mail, and that was the violation of the private rights. Therefore, it was said that the president sent it back for the reconsideration. And the second time, that office of the profit bill, when the in the Jaya Bachchan case, that she was the chairman of the UP film division, and which was held to be office of profit. In that case, the parliament passed prevention of disqualification Act 2006. At that time, APJ Abul Kalam was the president, and he once again sent it back for the reconsideration, though the bill was passed once again. So these are the certain procedures by which the law introduced into the parliament, passed by the both houses of the parliament. So how many kind of the bill? Ordinary bill, constitutional bill, money bill. Money bill is only introduced in the parliament. Rajya Sabha has very limited power of discussion, and the president cannot withhold the power because it is the prior permission of the president by which it is introduced. Second is the ordinary bill. Ordinary bill has to pass through the same procedure in either house, and then the president has two choices